thought today would be a good time to go over what my biggest surprises have been about Belgrade and kind of Serbia in general, but mostly about Belgrade since I moved here.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
I've been here now a little over, right at over 2 months, and so I'm gonna walk around and talk about that really cool fountain. You can also see really cool patterns. That's the sidewalk. That's like right where my feet are. Anyhow, when I first got here, I'd been here only a few days, and I put out a video of my first impressions, just walking around where my first apartment was, and figured that those would change, and now's a good opportunity to go over exactly what the biggest surprises have been to me, and there's about 5 or 6. So we'll do that, walk around the central city, look at the park. I'll chase some squirrels if I can find some. Join me.
Jumping from cliffs.
So these are in really no particular order. The first one that has been a big surprise to me before I came was the level of English in this city. It is really, really advanced. It is really widespread. And what surprises me more than anything is it's not just among the young population. I had expected that there would be a lot of English in Belgrade for the, say, 20s to maybe 30s crowd on there, and there is, no doubt about it, and many of them are absolutely fluent in English. Probably speak better English than I do, since my dialect is a little different from everybody else's. But it's also surprisingly not as widespread, but quite a few people I run into each and every day that are older, and I'm talking late 40s, early 50s, that can speak pretty darn good English, if not fluent. And I'll give you a for instance. So I was in the grocery store, I guess, walk around this park, probably about 2 weeks ago, and I was wanting to cook. I do a lot of cooking, and I was needing some ground beef for a recipe that I had, and so I go back. I'm at the butcher section of the grocery store, and a lady comes over. She speaks to me. She's in Serbian. I say, I don't speak Serbian. Do you happen to speak English? And she's like, of course. Like, everybody does, sort of. Like, what a silly question I was asking, which is really not, because it's not everybody. But she was probably, I'm just guessing her age was around 50. Older than me, but and her English was excellent. It was absolutely perfect. I find in the young people, especially, that we're talking business fluency in English. Now, again, not every single place you go, not every single person, but it's widespread enough that this city is well positioned to be a real tourist destination for worldwide, not just English speakers, but people who speak it as their second language, because that does make travel much more readily possible. So when I first came to Europe, I lived in London, England, and I was going to school, and so I would walk a little dog out there, run the dogs in the park. So I was going to school, and on the weekends, I purposely took Fridays off. I'd go over to the continent and travel around Western and Central Europe. And back then, the English language was not that widespread. And now, a few decades later here, you come to Eastern Europe, and it's incredibly prevalent. And that's just in 2 decades. So that's really surprised me. It's been a very pleasant surprise. And it's made living here during this period of time very easy on me. I get distracted by all these sights and stuff. Every time I come to this park or a different park, I find something new. I usually cut up through this area and go up to past St. Mark's to the main park, Calamodon Park. No, Calamodon's the other side. Up there and do some walks a couple times a week. All right, so that's number one.
No telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights. Won't stop for traffic lights.
Okay, so the second surprise that I had coming to Belgrade was the diversity of architecture that you have in the city from different periods throughout history. Some of them close together, some of them farther apart. Belgrade is an incredibly old city, but I knew from history that over hundreds of years the city was just invaded, bombed, destroyed. I mean, it suffered through 2 full world wars. And I wasn't sure, because I hadn't really done much research on it, how much had survived and how much wouldn't, but I knew that this had been a war-torn area for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it surprised me, sorry, cars are loud, the diversity of the architecture. You've got stuff, hundreds of years old. You've got stuff that's during the, I guess, the Yugoslavian kingdom period. Stuff from here in Belgrade, from the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. You've got stuff that, if you go, let me put it this way, there's some very beautiful architecture here in Belgrade. And then, funny enough, if you go across the river to New Belgrade, I went over there where there's some block housing and stuff that was built during the communist era, and it's like, I mean, it's like ghetto ugly. So, I mean, it's just no soul to it. So it's just funny the different types you will find just in one single city. Got some police action going up here. So it's really been fun to go around and look at the different architecture, the different buildings. My God, the temples and the churches in the Eastern Orthodox style are just amazing. And I have thoroughly enjoyed that. All right, enough on architecture, on to the next subject. All right, number 3. And I swear I didn't plan this, it just happened. So every single time that I turn a corner, there's something happening in Belgrade. Some sort of festival, some sort of event, and that really did surprise me because of what's going on. This is 2021. Most of the world is shut down and have, I don't know, decided to live in a cave for the rest of their lives. Not so here in Belgrade, Serbia. They have decided that they're gonna live. So I came up here to the park because I thought I could do this video in, and be kind of quiet and not have traffic noises and stuff. And I wandered into this festival. You cannot make this stuff up or plan it. And yes, this was one of the things I was going to say today, because I had just a week or two ago, I wandered into a food festival. This appears, just from walking through it one time, to be a honey festival. So my plan was shot down as far as having a nice uncrowded place to shoot the video. But this looks like a festival, I swear to God, that is just dedicated to honey. I mean, they've got like the stuff for dealing with the bees, and I guess you smoke them or whatever. They've got the wooden blocks and stuff that you use to create the hives and put them in there. This is just, it's a honey festival. It's amazing.
Even if the sky is falling down.
They've got huge vats of honey. It's really great. And I've never been to a honey festival. I'm wondering if they got mead. Mead's made with honey. I say that because my cousin back home He actually owns a meadery. He started a meadery about a year and a half ago. It was, again, back at the beginning of all the goofiness going on in the world, so it hasn't really had time to take off, but he was raising his own bees, he was making his own mead, had gotten his licenses, everything in order. So now, because I had done some consulting for him, I think of, when I think of honey, my first thought is mead. So again, things happening all the time, huge surprise, especially from the world that I was coming out of, coming to here. I'll flip it around, show you some of the honeys and stuff. This is a cool place. So get up here and show the, yeah. Look at the number of vendors all the way down there. It's just honey, 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 honey products. It's great. Okay, now that I've had fun staring at all the honey and the bee stuff, that's so neat, is number 4. So the number 4 surprise that I had coming to Belgrade was the access that I would have to, I did say number 4, didn't I? The access that I would have to different things, branded items, electronics, different types of ingredients. Usually, and I've traveled and I've lived all over the world, so different time periods, different parts of my life, depending on where you're at, the more difficult it is to get a hold of different things. Specifically, you know, in Southeast Asia, getting a hold of certain types of ingredients for the things that I cook that they don't cook becomes challenging. It also becomes challenging as far as certain types of clothing in different places. A lot of places don't carry clothes that are big enough for me. So I had been told by some people in some neighboring countries that things weren't as readily available here as they were there. And I have not found that to be true at all. Electronics and stuff, some things are harder to come by, but you can get most of it. There is a premium on the price that you pay for it, but ingredients, been extremely happy to say that I can find most stuff. I may have to hunt around to it. I might not be able to get it all at 1, 2, 3, or 4 marketplaces and have to run around town, but I have been able to find stuff to cook things that I want to cook. Or maybe I should rephrase that, things that I am able to cook. So that has been a real pleasant surprise, and where that really plays an important role for me and for maybe some other people out there is that if you are considering making Belgrade a home base or even a residency to where you want to live there, that is a huge consideration on can you get the stuff, how expensive it is to be to get those things, and are there things that you can live without that you can't get. And like I say, here it's it really is available on there. Church bells leading us into the next one.
I really wanna know, really wanna know.
All right, number 5, and this one unfortunately is sort of a negative one, and I gotta be honest with you, it really shocked me. It wasn't my biggest surprise, but it was a shocker. And in fairness, I didn't do my research on this before I came. Wasn't a deal breaker or anything, but it's the train systems. I've just been very disappointed in the train systems in Serbia. You've got timing issues, you have serious infrastructure issues with them. And I think it's really holding the country back from living up to its full potential, which I think, as far as a tourist destination, if that's what they want, that would really make things better. Because, and this is coming from an American perspective who lived from Europe, so, and it's also coming realistically from my European friends. When you think of Europe, you think of riding the trains, hopping around from country to country, especially the youngsters, the backpackers, the people in in school, in college, like I once did. So, you know, I rode trains, got a Eurail pass when I was living in London, go over to the continent. I'd ride trains all weekends. When I'd have weeks off, I'd ride them. And I know that they're connected to the Eurail system, which is great. Now, I talked to some acquaintances I've made since I lived here, and what they told me, and I assume they are accurate, was that there just hasn't really been any money invested in the trains for basically 30 years. So that explains everything. They have told me that there definitely apparently is going to be a metro system in Belgrade that I think they told me France and I think it was France and China were going to help finance and build out. And also that they were going to be investing in, the country was planning on investing new infrastructure into the railroads, which would be great. I mean, a modern railroad system. Belgrade is such a good hub for seeing Eastern Europe, especially southern Eastern Europe, that it being a major train place to where you come in and out from the different countries would boost its ability to do that, and I think would pay off revenue-wise in the end. Again, I'm not an economist, but that's just my 2 cents. So I was a little disappointed in that. Again, not a deal breaker for me living here or anything, and certainly there's other methods of transportations, and you know, their trains do work. So that's my thought. All right, for the finale, the biggest surprise coming to Belgrade, Serbia, and one I am happy to say was the most pleasant surprise. This really should, if we were ranking them, this should be number one, was the food. Oh my God. So I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. By the time it was actually time for me to come into Belgrade, I was absolutely not looking forward to that aspect of it, because I had been eating different varieties of Balkan foods in different countries for many, many months, and I was not looking forward to the same old for 3 more months. I enjoy it for a few weeks. I enjoy trying different dishes, but that was just it's a neat building. So really pleasantly surprised with that. The food in Belgrade, absolutely amazing. I mean, hands down, I absolutely love it. If you watch any of my older travel videos, I have maybe one food video. I did a few of them on this trip just because it really is so good, and I was so excited about it. I'm not like, I mean, I cook, I know how to cook, and I'm pretty darn good at it if I say so myself. But, I mean, I'm not some expert Michelin restaurant guy. So, seeing the foods, eating the foods, tasting the foods here has been absolutely wonderful. And I'm particularly impressed with the Serbian dishes and the Serbian takes on really the Balkan dishes in general. There's a lot of stuff that comes out of, you know, the Greek, the Turkish. It all kind of, some of it all gets mixed together. But here, the most amazing sausage and sausages that I've ever seen outside of, in fact, the only other place I've ever seen that had what I would consider this good was Germany. Bavaria, period. End of statement. So I have lived and visited for long periods of time multiple cities all over the world, and I can tell you that Belgrade is in my top 6 for food. And that really is a surprise to me, because I had never known this part of the world, nor do I really think it's known for being that great in food. And that should not be that way. It should be known for that, because it really is that good. And I've done some food videos. I've probably dropped them by now on there for people who aren't from here, so they can kind of see. Most of my audience is not from here, so they can see the different foods that are here, and it's like a meat lover's paradise. I'll tell you that much. Sorry, I keep looking around trying to find my way back to my bus station so I can go back, because the sun's getting ready to set. But the food has been just an amazing surprise. And it's not just the Serbian cuisine. It's not just the how well it has been cooked. It really also goes in conjunction with, you can get cuisine here from different regions of the world that has a pretty good take on it, or is basically the same. So, I mean, if you want Mexican food, they have that. It's not, I'm not going to pretend that it's really good Mexican, but you can get it if that's your cravings. You can get Lebanese food. You can get, I did a whole thing on Asian food, and that is right readily available here, and is good. I binged on it the first 3 or 4 days that I got here, just because I hadn't had anything like it in months and months. But the food, Belgrade is an amazing place for food. And when I leave, I hope that I end up somewhere that has at least comparable food quality and variety that I can get here. But I'll tell you, the food makes me not want to leave, even though I have to. So eventually I have to move on, because I only get so much time in the country. But I have enjoyed the food, and I eat out a lot here. It's very affordable. It's just, it's great food. So if you've never been to this part of the world, this really is a great place to start Belgrade because of the food. You will have some amazing dishes. You won't miss out on stuff that you want from other different places. And it's just a great place to go. You're not gonna, you know, I've been here more than 2 months, and actually 2.5 months, and I'm not sick of it. Well, maybe it's 2 months and a week, but anyway, I'm not sick of it. I love it. I look forward to getting food here, even when I'm not cooking, every single day. And I find some new adventure, some new restaurant, some new way that a chef treats the same dish just a little bit differently. And I've got my favorites now. So when I am able to come back to Belgrade, I can go to them. All right, so that was my 6 surprises after having lived here over 2 months. And kind of overcoming what my first impressions were, or what my initial impressions even coming into the country are. So, don't know if that's useful to you or not. If it was, if you find something that you found shocking, let me know in the comments below. All right, I'll see you in the next vid.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.